Oh my god, what is that thing? No. No, this can't be real. This can't be real. This has to be a dream. This has to be a dream. Hi everyone, meet Grassletics. After taking a 7-year break from the game, I decided to up the ante and forge my own journey. I am so getting copy strike for this. Anyway, whenever I train a skill in-game, I also need to train that skill IRL, as I work towards RuneScape's most iconic goal. Barrows Gloves and a fire cape.
I think you'd be more comfortable over at that place.
Weenie Hut Juniors!
Now look, this series is already reaching diagnosable levels of neurodivergence, but we're going to crank it up to 11 with the first skill being mining. I pulled up to my trusty petrified wood spot, got out my handy pickaxe and started digging into the earth. As I pulled out more and more pay dirt, my mining level started creeping up until we hit the big 15.
Why is it still blurry?
Yeah, these early streams were still in the experimental phase, so quality for the first few minutes is going to be a little bit rough. Anyway, the first pit was almost entirely junk. Sure, there were some nice pieces here and there, but most of this is just going to be left behind for kids to sift through. After 10 to 15 minutes of digging up low-grade pieces, I turned around and noticed something. I was above the vein the whole time. Alright, now that we're on the right piece of dirt, we started gathering a lot of better quality samples, and even a few keeper pieces to take home. After digging around for a few more minutes, I eventually got bored and started looking for leaf fossils. You basically do this by wandering up and down these hills, and then sifting through any quartz deposits you find. On the way back down one of the hills, we heard a lost cow, so I spent the next 20 or 30 minutes trying to find her. I'm not sure if you can still count this as mining training IRL, but I kept finding quartz deposits, and my character kept on mining that iron. We eventually spotted the cow 2 hills away, and then I headed back down to the car with a bag full of uncut gems, and a list of things to improve for the next stream.
The next day.
The next stream was a little bit of an odd one. We're slowly trying to clear all the sagebrush from our property, so I fired up a short stream and started woodcutting. Michael, shouldn't you be training farming? I don't know, go chop some bushes in game and tell me what XP you get. Anyway, after decimating a few bushes, chat pulled off the greatest prank I've seen in 2 years of streaming. To show you what they cooked up, we have to rewind the clock. Oh crap, that was way too far. Anyway, over the last year on TikTok, I've been developing a stream AI that has 3 main responsibilities. Number 1, read the YouTube chat to me so I don't have to constantly be staring at my phone. Number 2, watch the stream and alert me if anything is abnormal so I don't have to constantly watch my phone. And 3, complete any requests I ask him to do so I don't even have to pull out my phone. Unfortunately, I'm not the best programmer and I end up breaking him every couple of weeks. Long story short, I made a mistake in the code and chat could hear the error messages. That's when they realized if they sent the exact text as a chat message, I would think my bot is erroring out and crashing again, and well, it took me an embarrassingly long time to realize what was going on. After figuring it out, I kept chopping until I got tired and called it a night with a brand new checklist of things to fix.
Tomorrow for sure.
Alright, it's day 3 of the series and so far things have been pretty slow. If I'm going to get this account out of the early game, I'm going to need some key levels. I headed down to the wilderness and headed out to the wilderness IRL where you don't even get cell coverage, and of course fired up a stream.
That doesn't make sense.
I know, we'll explain that later. Anyway, we're going to need a higher prayer level if we want to beat the fight caves, and I just happened to come across 14 mil cash. You see, I just so happened to be at the GE when a drop party started, and by sheer coincidence I picked up enough cash to fund all my needs on this account. Anyway, I grabbed some bones off the GE, and then started looking for bones IRL. Whenever I would find a bone, I'd do my best to bury it without having to pick it up or touch the remains. That's not because the remains are gross or weird, it's because there's black widows here and I really don't want to get bit. We found femurs, we found rib cages, we found a few skulls, and we eventually got up to 56 prayer. But you'll notice the streams are dropping pretty consistently, and that's because of this little Raspberry Pi. Every time I turn my body, walk too close to a tree, or step over the ledge, the Starlink will temporarily drop, and this 11-watt computer is the only thing that's keeping the video feed stable. Unfortunately, in the summer sun with 2 streams running, it's starting to overheat. I kept the live going, met up with parents, and started training ranged IRL. But at this point, the stream was basically falling apart. At least we got to catch Mom's first gunshot on camera though.
Nice!
Wow.
Honestly, with how much stress the server is under, I think I'm gonna need to go home, reprogram the way the video is encoded, and try again on a new stream.
Eventually.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
10 days. It took 10 days. But thanks to some frankly degenerate level optimizations, I can now send the full HD stream with no loss in quality, using just 52% of the original bandwidth. Let's see if that makes a visual difference in the stream, and oh my god, it's night and day. Look at my boy. We have full HD footage, stable 30 FPS, and we can even have an HD Old School client as well. Just don't look at the minimap. I accidentally broke it and didn't realize it yet. Anyway, I'm here because I need to train some agility, and I miss having climber hands. So let's kill two birds with one stone. I started on something that I thought was a V3 to 5, only to quickly find out it was not a V3 to 5. Fortunately, I was now committed and basically raw dogging a V6 or V7 with no warm-up. It's not 2023 anymore and I can't just send a hard climb, so I struggled a bit and eventually downgraded to something easier. That V3 to 5 sign is actually pointing to this climb over here, and after a few attempts we were able to get up to the top. I did a couple of easy climbs, but honestly I was just testing out the server to make sure it was stable and all of my optimizations worked. And now that I know we can have full HD footage, let's go have some real fun. I met up with Brooke after work and we began to train some ranged. I'm not going to spend too much time on this clay pigeon massacre since we're going to need a really high range level for the fire cape and we'll be shooting a lot in this series. About half an hour into the stream, my screen suddenly went black. You see, my account was suddenly banned for, and I quote, serious rule breaking, so I quickly turned off the streams to figure out what the hell was going on. I realized I wouldn't be able to figure this out over the phone and a sketchy satellite connection, so I went home and by the time I got back to my home computer, all my accounts were unbanned. That was a really weird experience and I wish that I had kept the recording going so I could show you that big screen of like, your account has been disabled for serious rule breaking. Dude, that would have been a great thumbnail, but unfortunately I wasn't thinking about content creation in the moment. Well, now that we got the accounts back, let's keep this combat streak going. The next day after work, I decided to train some strength. How are we climbing strength? Well, by rucking up a 3,000-foot volcano, obviously. This time, I came prepared. Off camera, I had prepped a bunch of quests, and as soon as we started the stream, we started cashing them in. We cashed in Fight Arena. We cashed in the Tree Gnome Village. And then after forgetting my amulet, and needing to get another, we also cashed in Waterfall Quest. This took us straight to 40 attack and gave us a huge head start on strength, and this allowed me to finally get some drip on the account. You'll notice me keep looking back over my shoulder because there was this big storm cloud forming right next to the mountain, and I was worried about lightning. We kept going uphill, and once I got to 7,300 feet, I had a choice. The storm cloud was basically gone, and I could push for the summit, or I could go on a bunch of mini adventures across the mountain. I was still worried about the storm coming back, so rather than climb next to a bunch of metal towers, we decided to go up the moraine instead. Now, this is a 700-foot structure, and it's every climber's dream. It's steep, it's loose, there's a bunch of small rocks and sand that'll get in your shoes, there's no trail, and every once in a while, the thing you're standing on randomly decides to go downhill. It is fun, to say the least. But after you get to the top, you're rewarded with these amazing views of the bolts and surrounded volcanoes. It was starting to get a little late, so we headed back down the mountain, hopped onto one of the cat trails, and briskly walked back down to the car. While we were doing this, we had an interesting discussion on stream, and I really need your guys' feedback. When I train strength, I also get HP XP. That's pretty much unavoidable. Now, in theory, I could set my blade to controlled, in which case I'd get strength, HP, but also attack and defense. Now here's the thing, I don't need any more XP in attack or defense, and I'm pretty sure I can complete my goals without ever needing to multi-skill, but I'd love to get your feedback on this topic because it may come up later in the series. Do I have to train mainly the style I'm training IRL, or can I multi-skill as long as I'm getting XP in the style I'm training IRL? I think that's going to be a great discussion in the comments, and I really look forward to hearing your guys' opinions on it. Anyway, with that question, we're ending episode 1 with 40 strength, 40 attack, 35 range, 28 mining, 56 prayer, and a variety of other lower level skills. I have no idea how long it'll take to reach the gloves, but if you want to come along for the ride, like, subscribe, and keep an eye out for those live streams. I'd love to see you guys there.